Hey page turners, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the LGBTQ plus books I plan on reading in June. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them. Hello my bookish friends, Jeannie here, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so glad you're here because we are all about meeting new people and making new friends on this channel. Happy Pride Month! I am so excited for this month because it's just a wonderful month to celebrate, right? Like, first of all, it's LGBTQ plus, Pride. It's Pride Month. And then another thing in June, like us Puerto Ricans, because if you don't know, I am Puerto Rican. Yes, yo soy boricua. Okay? Okay. We normally celebrate, Puerto Rican Pride this month as well. Even though it is, Puerto Rican type celebrate, type heritage, type, I don't even know if it's Puerto Rican Heritage Month, okay? Like, I'm Puerto Rican and most of the time I don't know what's going on. That's so bad. But listen, all I know is that they do this Puerto Rican parade, and we also get the Pride Parade. I don't know if that's what it's called, but yeah, I am so excited for my reading this month. This month, I really have a goal of focusing a lot on Pride books and on BIPOC authors or BIPOC authors. If you don't know what that means, it means Black, Indigenous, people of color. So it's very important to me to include diversity in my reading, and I am all for it. And this month I wanted to make sure that I tackled more of them. Like, I wanted to really focus on reading these type of books this month. Don't get me wrong, there's still some fantasy stuff going on, but that one I'll leave for another video. But in this video, I want to share all the LGBTQ plus books that I am aiming to read this month. Because, as a mood reader, you just have to have a lot of options. And I like to have a lot of options because, I might be feeling one book and then later on in the month, I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to read you. So that's why I have options. So in my Discord group, I actually created a reading challenge to go with this month, and it's called Read with Pride. And I absolutely love that title. I don't know, it just popped in my head. Last month, we did a reading challenge in my Discord group too, and a lot of people had fun with it. I had fun with it because it's like a challenge to yourself to see how many books you could read that month and following like whatever prompt and seeing what book falls under that prompt. So it was pretty fun. And this month I decided to do the same thing, and I wanted to make it more focused on LGBTQ authors and representation in books and BIPOC authors and representation in books as well. So I kind of like mashed them together and put together these prompts, and yeah, I'm planning on filling it up like completely. So let's see if I'm able to do that. Now that I got that out the way, let's dive into the books I want to try to read on Pride Month. So one of the books I really want to get to is Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. So guys, this one I am super excited to possibly read. I've been meaning to read it ever since last year when I first got it because I was so excited. And now I am making sure that I try to read this one for sure. Okay? So in this one, we are following Juliet Milagros Palante. And she just so happens to be a Puerto Rican from the Bronx. And according to what the synopsis says, Julia Milagros Palante is a self-proclaimed closeted Puerto Rican baby dyke from the Bronx. I don't know, but is dyke even used nowadays? Like, let me know in the comments below, because I don't know, that kind of bothers me for some reason. So this one is a coming out story basically, and Julia is going to be interning with her favorite feminist author. Now the thing is that things kind of like crash a little when she decides to come out. Her mom is not so very understanding about it, and she decides that she doesn't want to speak to Juliet anymore. So then Juliet comes up with this plan to make sure to get together with her favorite feminist author and see if she could help her with figuring out the whole lesbian thing. Now, the thing is that her favorite author is white and Juliet is Puerto Rican from the Bronx. So she feels like she really doesn't understand her. So then she meets a sexy librarian, and Juliet starts coming to terms with what it means to actually come out to the world, her family, and her friends. This one is definitely one I want to make sure that I get to, because I love reading books that represent me as a Puerto Rican and from the Bronx. So that's a plus in my book. So next book I want to try to read in January. In January? Really, Jeannie? What? What is wrong with my brain? Another book I want to read in June is Pumpkin by Julie Murphy. And guys, I am pretty excited about getting to this one. So as you can see, it was an arc that was sent to me by HarperCollins, and I didn't get to read it when it was sent, which was a few months ago. So this book is actually already out. It came out last month, so you can actually pick it up if you want to. So this one is actually the third book in the Dumpling, I think it's said like that, Dumpling series. From what I heard, I don't have to read the other ones, that I could read this as a standalone. The only thing is that there are appearances from the other characters. So I'm guessing that it's kind of like the Brown Sisters series from Talia Hibbert, where, you know, the other sisters make an appearance in it, but you don't really like get their story. So yeah, I heard I could read this one as a standalone, and that's what I plan to do. So with that said, in this one, we are following Waylon. Waylon happens to be a fat, openly gay boy that comes from Texas. And to bid his time, he's waiting until he graduates so like that he can move out with his twin sister, Clementine. So the thing is that things don't go as planned when his twin sister, Clementine, decides to kind of deviate from the original plan they had once Waylon got dumped. So then Waylon decides to send an audition tape to his favorite drag show. What ended up happening is that his audition tape got leaked out to the entire school. So in turn, they decide to nominate Waylon for prom queen and his sister's girlfriend for prom king as a joke. Waylon and his sister's girlfriend Hannah decide, hey, what more can we do? Let's go out this year with a bang, and even better, with a glittery bang. So Waylon ends up learning that the best plan is living for today and not worrying about tomorrow. And this one sounds so awesome, and I am so excited to read this one, because I'm gonna let you guys in on something. Even though my friends in my Discord group, they kind of know, okay? They already know me. So I absolutely love watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I love that show, guys. Like, so any book or anything that I happen to come across that has like drag or like, you know, queens and stuff, I am living for it, okay? So if you guys know any other books that has like drag queen, you know, the drag life representation, please comment it down below because I am looking for more books like that. Next book I want to make sure to read in June is Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Guys, I am so excited about reading this one because this one will be my first Sally Thorne book. And I've heard so many good things about her other book, The Hating Game, which I plan on reading very soon as well. But I thought that since I saw that this one has LGBTQ representation, I figured this is the best time to make sure to read it. So in this one, we are following Ruthie, who happens to work at the front desk of a villa for years. And she lives on site at this villa, and she basically is at the beck and call of all the wealthy people that stay here and the rare tortoises that happen to roam the lawns of the villa. So she normally has her set routine, that is until Teddy, her neighbor, moves in. So Teddy has this like bad boy type of appearance. He has the dark hair, the tattoos, and he's tall. Teddy is in pursuit of trying to open up his own tattoo shop. So he's definitely kind of risky because he's also the owner's son. So Ruthie had her eye on him until he mistakes her for an old lady. Listen, if anybody knows anything about us women, right, is you do not mess with our age, okay? You better not say we look old or we're an old lady, because that's not cool. So that is exactly what Teddy did, which ended up changing Ruthie's mind like this. So Ruthie comes up with this plan to get her revenge on Teddy for that horrible first impression that she had on him. So when one of the residents placed an ad for a personal assistant that usually doesn't even last long working for them, as revenge, Ruthie happens to offer the job to Teddy. Now the thing is, she wasn't expecting for him to actually be a great hire. Now the thing is, there's certain things that start changing in the villa where Teddy's family is threatening to shatter Ruthie's life. She is wondering if Teddy will be there for her when it really counts. With that said, I am so excited to get to this one, and hopefully I can. And I want to get to know what happens because this sounds right up my alley. So another book I would like to definitely read in June is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So far I've only read one Elizabeth Acevedo book, and I absolutely fell in love with her writing. And the one that I read is With the Fire on High, which, by the way, I recommend you pick up if you haven't. So in this one, we are following Camino Rios and Jahaira Rios. Camino lives in the Dominican Republic, and her dad comes and visits her every summer, while Jahaira Rios lives in New York City. Things take a swift turn when the girls find out that their father died in a plane crash. The thing is that not only are they separated by distance, but it just so happens that they were also their father's secret. They eventually meet each other and have to grapple with everything that's going on around them and the changes that have been made since their dad died. So now they have to kind of figure out what a sister means to them and what it takes to keep their dream alive. So this one I am very excited to read too, because it is told in verse. And the only other book that I've ever read that was in verse is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. And by the way, I recommend that one too. And I am very excited to read one of Elizabeth Acevedo's books told in verse. And I can't wait to read this one because I plan on reading it during one of my readathons. Another book I would like to read is Stay Gold by Toby McSmith. In this one, we are following Tony, who's kind of trying to stay out of the radar during senior year because he has gotten so much attention after coming out as being transgender. So tired of all the attention that he got at his old school for being transgender, he decided to start fresh in a new school. But it's hard for him to start fresh when the threat of exposure is basically all around him. And we also follow Georgia, who is also trying to stay under the radar because she's kind of tired of being a cheerleader. So she decides that she wants to lay low, and she also made a no dating rule for herself. Georgia and Pony kind of meet and they start to develop some kind of interest. So Pony is asking himself, how can he stay under the radar when he really wants to get close to Georgia? And on the other end, Georgia is thinking, how can she keep her promise of the no dating when sparks are flying between her and Pony? Yes, I am super excited for this, and this one would be my first transgender read, and I am just so excited. I am so excited. I plan on starting this one possibly very soon. I think this one is going to be the first one I start with in June. Another book on my June LGBTQ plus list is This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story by Karen Calendar. And this one is another one that's been on my radar for a long time, and it's been sitting on my shelves waiting for me patiently to pick it up. So in this one, we are following Nathan Bird, who happens to think that happy endings doesn't exist. He's the ultimate screen buff and an aspiring screenwriter. So he feels like he's already seen too many relationships go bad and just believes that it's not a thing and a happy ending is like non-existent. So with that said, he's definitely trying to stay away from ever having a broken heart or even trying to have a relationship. His best friend slash girlfriend, but then best friend again, Florence, is set on making sure that Nate finds someone else. And the twist is that, yeah, someone else does come along, and it just so happens to be Nate's childhood best friend, Oliver. So after a painful mix-up when they were younger, now Nate actually has a chance to tell Ollie how he really feels. But can Nate actually find the courage to pursue his own happily ever after? This one sounds like perfection, and I cannot wait to read this one too. Another book I am aiming to read in June is Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. This one is one that I've heard a lot of good things about, and I'm so excited to read it. So in this one, we are following Simone, who is starting off at a new school and believes that in this school things will be different. She's making friends, and she's also making a name for herself as she became the director of Rent. She is also pretty googly-eyed off of Miles, who makes her feel like the most important person in the world. However, Simone is also living with a secret that she is HIV positive, and she is scared that the same thing that happened in her old school when word got out will happen in this one. So when Simone and Miles start dating and sex starts becoming more of a possibility, Simone knows that she has to tell Miles that she is HIV positive, but she's also scared of how he will react. Until one day she gets a note threatening to expose her to Miles if she doesn't break up with him. As much as Simone wants to keep her new life intact, Simone knows that there's only one thing she can do. She can take control of her life, even if it means risking her first love. So I'm excited to read this one because it sounds like it's going to have a lot of deep themes, and I feel like it just might be the one to make me emotional. So This one is definitely one that I plan on getting to this month as well. Another book I'm very excited to read this month is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Calendar. And I hope I said the name right, actually. So in this one, we are following Felix Love, who has never been in love. So he wants to find out what it's like and why it seems so easy for everyone else to fall in love. So even though Felix is proud of his identity, he also fears that he's one marginalization too many. So Felix is Black, queer, and transgender. So an anonymous student ends up sending transphobic messages. Felix decides that he wants to get revenge. So he decides to catfish the person. However, he didn't realize that it would kind of get him in a quasi love triangle. But as he starts to navigate his complicated feelings, Felix begins a journey of questioning and self discovery that helps redefine his most important relationship, and that's how he feels about himself. So, I've heard a lot of good things about this one, and I cannot wait to read this one because yet again it's another transgender representation book and it just sounds so good, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I am excited to pick this one up. Another book I would like to pick up this month is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. So in this one, we are following Jadriel. I'm kind of saying it in Spanish, who has a family that has a problem accepting his gender. So he decides to prove himself as a brujo. So with the help of his best friend and his cousin, they do a ritual which sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set him free. Yes, I know. You always want to bother me and want loving when I'm doing a video. You always. Yes, I know. Milo, you're gonna mess up my makeup. Okay, where was I? However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, who happens to be the bad boy in the school. And the thing is that he's not trying to go away. So, yeah, that is a problem. The thing is that Julian is determined to find out what happened and try to mend those loose ends and get closure before he leaves. So, without having a real choice, Yadriel decides that he's gonna help Julian just so they both can get what they want. However, what Yadriel didn't realize is that as he keeps spending time with Julian, he's feeling like he don't want Julian to leave. This one sounds like a lot of fun and I cannot wait to start it. I'm excited to find out what kind of relationship Jadriel and Julian form. Another book that I am making sure that I read this month is I'll Give You the Sun by Yandy Nelson. So in this one, we are following Jude and his twin brother Noah, who, of course, just like most twins, are pretty close. So Noah is the type that he likes to draw and he's falling for the boy next door, while Jude is the type that is a daredevil and likes to wear red lipstick. So fast forward to 3 years later when the two boys are 16, they are not talking to each other and something dramatic has happened in their relationship that has changed things. So Jude ends up meeting this cocky but beautiful boy and someone else, which leads to more unpredictable things going on in her life. The early years are Noah's story to tell and the later years are Jude's story to tell, but what they don't seem to realize is that that's only half of the story. And if they could only get back to each other and build the relationship that they once had, then maybe they could remake their story and the world. This one has been on my shelves for a long time, and I think it's about time that I finally read this amazing story because again, it's one that I've heard such great things about, and I need to finally make sure that I read this one. Now, for the honorable mentions that I might get to, or I might not, or if I decide to deter myself from my main TBR, I have options. So let's start with the first one. The Beauty That Remains by Ashley Woodfolk. So for this one, I actually don't know too much about it, so I will skim through the synopsis. The tagline is, "We've lost everything and found ourselves." So that alone is like... So music brought Autumn, Shay, and Logan together. Death might pull them apart. Autumn always knew exactly who she was, a talented artist and a loyal friend. Shay was defined by two things: her bond with her twin sister, Sasha, and her love of music. And Logan always turned to writing love songs when his love life was a little less than perfect. But when tragedy strikes each of them, somehow music is no longer enough. Now Logan can't stop watching vlogs of his dead ex-boyfriend. Shay is a music blogger struggling to keep it together. And Autumn sends messages to her best friend that she knows can never be answered. Despite the odds, one band's music will reunite them and prove that after grief, beauty thrives in the people left behind. Okay, guys, so I just saw something it says on the front cover, and I am shook. Okay, I am shook right now. It says, "Be prepared to be broken, be prepared to feel whole again." And that's from Angie Thomas. So this one is going to leave me broken, and I think I should buy a box of tissues like tomorrow and have it on deck before I start this one. Either way, I'm gonna make sure I read this one because it sounds like it's gonna be beautiful. Another book I would like to possibly get to in June is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli. Why can I never say her name? Becky Albertalli. You get it. And Adam Silvera. So this one is another one that I've had for a while. And after reading They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, I am hooked to his writing. So I decided to include this one on my possible TBR for June. So in this one, we are following author who only comes to stay in New York in the summers, who believes that if Broadway has ever showed him anything, is that the universe can deliver a show-stopping romance when you least expect it. Then there's Ben, who's on the opposite view of things when it comes to love. Ben believes that the universe should mind its own business. He feels that way after delivering his ex-girlfriend's belongings. He feels that if the universe had his back, he wouldn't be walking to the post office to ship out his ex-girlfriend's stuff. But when Ben and Arthur meet cute at the post office, then they start to question, what does the universe really have in store for them? So I think so yeah, this one sounds like it's gonna be so cute. I'm hoping that I get to this one soon. If not, well, I'll just definitely roll it over for next month. Another book that's on my mentionables list is Ghostwood Song by Erica Waters. In this one, we are following Shady Grove, who, just like her father, has the ability to call ghosts from the grave with her fiddle. So she feels like the instrument is cursed when it takes her father to the grave after he dies in a car accident. The cursed instrument drowned along with her dad when his car went off the road, taking with it the ghosts and the grief and nightmares and the obsession that forced her father to play. But then Shady's brother gets accused of murder, and Shady has to decide whether she wants to unearth the fiddle and contact the ghost to help clear her brother's name, or if she just wants to leave things as it is and plausibly shatter her family. This one sounds super exciting, and even though it kind of gives me more fall reading vibes, But I don't know. It just might make it for me to give this one a shot now. Another book I would like to maybe get to this month is Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. In this one, we are following a thief named Rag who lives in Queen City. He happens to come across a sorcerer, Morian, who forces him to steal a very powerful 6-piece ancient Fey relic. Then Rags discovers that the relics that Morian wants him to steal are actually people. One being a Fey prince that's been asleep for centuries, a Queen Guard deserter with more honor than common sense, the daughter of a disgraced noble family who doesn't think first and asks questions later, a deceptively sweet prince, and an underground resistance that is neither trusting nor trustworthy. So they decide to come together because they cannot let Morian go through with his dark plans. Just because there's a few people part of this plan doesn't mean that it can work out in their favor. But lucky thing, Rags is pretty smart and he just might have a plan of his own that just might work. I don't know, but I may have to bump this one up. But I know one thing for sure, if I'm not able to get to it this month, then I will definitely be moving it to next month because this one sounds like a lot of fun. And I mean, Fey relics, like, I would love to find out more about what goes on in this story. Okay, and the last book that I would like to possibly get to in June is The Fascinators by Andrew Eliopoulos. I hope I said that right. But if I didn't, I apologize. In this one, we are following Sam, who happens to live in a small town where magic is frowned upon. So Sam has two friends, James and Delia, who are part of the school's magic club that will help him get through until he graduates. Now, the thing is that as senior year begins, there's a few little things that start to show. So Sam may or may not be in love with James, and James just might have a crush on a girl in his church, while Delia wants to get into this hyper competitive magic college, which makes casting spells with her friends kind of a waste of time. Then James admits that he got mixed up with some messed up magickers who are now targeting all three of them. Now Sam is faced with the thought of their love for magic is what are breaking things apart, and maybe there's things that magic can't fix. So this one sounds pretty cool, and I love the whole like contemporary fantasy aspect of it, and I would love to see if I could get to this one this month as well. Those are all the LGBTQ plus books I would like to read in June. Let me know down below if you plan on reading any of these. Are there more other ones you can recommend me so I can have on my list for later TBRs? That concludes this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what's on your June TBR because I would love to hear it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Mr. Salty. Actually, it makes me want Mr. Salty right now.